You wouldn't know from looking at them, but these cars are endangered species, the last of their kind. Wave goodbye to the high-revving V8 aspirated engine. Mercedes has just introduced its new coupe, the C63 AMG. And yes, it's modern and has the power and talent to beat the reigning champ, the M3. But this will probably be the last duel ahead of the dawning age of turbocharging. The need for efficiency will make this the final face-off between these big aspirated engines. So enjoy the ride, zooming past us one last time. It makes me sad because achieving high RPMs and doing so with enthusiasm is the essence of a sports car engine, says car tester Wolfgang Koenig. He'd prefer not to do without it. If and when this kind of engine disappears, he's afraid that we'll have lost something special. Then we'll have to look around for old M3s, because that kind of sports car engine will no longer be available. Maybe there'll be some exotic exceptions, but in general, there'll be something missing. BMW's M3 is a legend, though a bit long in the teeth. It's been on the market since 2008. The M3 is a classic sports car engine that actually has nothing in common with BMW's mass-produced motors, explains Wolfgang. It's especially constructed for high RPMs into the smallest detail, and also for low friction to keep fuel consumption manageable, even at high performance levels. It's an engine that also has enough torque at low RPMs. That's the M3 engine's real achievement. Having enough torque at low RPMs while performing all the way to the top end.
Alte BMW M3 Motor hervorragend
He says the BMW engine is like a sewing machine. It's sophisticated. It even has several voices. From a sonorous tenor to a baritone, a real rumbling V8 baritone. It does it all. The M3 has 309 kilowatts and goes from 0 to 100 in 4.6 seconds. It has 400 Newton-meters of torque, even at just 3,900 RPM. The 8-cylinder aspirated engine officially burns 11.2 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers. But really, an M3 is a car for the racetrack. For Wolfgang, the M3's typical traits are the high seating position inside the car. That's unusual for a sports car, and the DSG transmission with the paddle shifter can be set to various speeds. In the highest, you can shift quick as lightning. Also, the way it heads into a curve without pressuring the front wheels. Just beautiful.
Wunderbar.
The M3 loves high revs. The fun actually starts at 5,500. That's also typical for the M3 V8, and it gives the driver a lot of freedom around bends. It's actually the perfect tool for the racetrack. It's in a class of its own. Not even the Mercedes measures up. The M3 is automatically pegged at 250 kilometers an hour. Anyone wanting to take it up to 280 pays an extra 2,500 euros for a software update that isn't really worthwhile. It'd be a pity to just drive the M3 down straight roads. Wolfgang even says the BMW is the more demanding car in everyday use. First, you have to decide which of the 4 electronic settings you want. They affect the transmission, the engine, the suspension. Everything can be set at various levels, which can be tough deciding. And with this competition package, our car is demanding to drive. It wants to be driven actively, all the time. Our test version with a direct shift gearbox, M3 competition package, and M-Drive costs about 80,000 euros in Germany. It's new, it's exciting. It's the first car with the name C Coupe. Also, sadly, probably the last with the big aspirated engine. The Mercedes C63 AMG is all about engine size.
The Mercedes
has a 50% bigger cylinder capacity, says our car man. Although it's called the 63, its size is 6.2 liters. That's a large volume V8, but also a long stroke one, which by nature has a harder time with high rev levels because the piston stroke is longer. It gets up to about 7,000 RPM and performs best at 6,700. That's still considered a high-revving engine, but nothing like the BMW. It is still an aspirated engine, one of the last that AMG still offers, and huge at that. 6.2 liters with 8 cylinders is something that produces a lot of torque, even at relatively high engine speeds. This V8 comes from a different league as such. The 6.2-liter engine features in the SLS series. In the C-Class, it delivers 336 kilowatts and goes from 0 to 100 in 4.4 seconds. It has 600 newton-meters of torque. And it uses only 0.8 liters more fuel per 100 kilometers than the M3, despite its much bigger size. Wolfgang says the Mercedes has a bass tone common to AMG's. The exhaust is designed in a way to produce this deep growl. It's very impressive. If you want to drive the Mercedes faster than 250, you'll have to pay 700 euros more than with the BMW. Save your money. The C63's regular version is enough. Mercedes has a more civilized ride than the BMW, as Wolfgang noticed when entering curves. It understeers a bit, and the handling is a bit softer and not as precise as the BMW. It's the more civilized, refined, and comfortable car. More of a sedan than a sports car, though at quite a high level of performance. You also notice here that it tilts more in curves. Its suspension works harder. As you can't adjust the shock absorbers, unlike the BMW, you have a compromise here that's built in and also takes bad road surfaces into account. In the BMW, you can select the sport setting and get a correspondingly hard ride. There's also a small surprise in the price. In our test version, the Mercedes comes in cheaper than the BMW. Still, 72,590 euros is beyond any normal investment in a car. In sum, the C63 AMG has more performance and for a lower price. So in that respect, it's the better value. But Wolfgang's favorite is still the M3. It's simply the sportier car and a joy to drive. It's built for really fast driving and challenges the driver. That's where it comes into its own. It's a bit more uncompromising than the Mercedes, which seems more built for the street and not for extreme driving. The Mercedes is probably the more pleasant car to drive in the longer run, with more comfort and less demanding on the driver. But if you want to drive fast and have fun, there's nothing like the M3. The M3 remains the champion, but the question of the better buy remains a matter of taste. Both have the stuff of classics because they represent the end of an era. Farewell to the purebred sports car engine.